Alright, what's going on guys? I'm going to be giving you guys 5 sound tips that you can use in Rainbow Six Siege to improve your gameplay and rank up. So because the Siege sound mechanics are so different from nearly every other game, I'm going to sort of explain how they work first. Just so you can get a bit of an understanding of how sound actually works, because a lot of people seem to think the game's broken and that the sound doesn't work, when it really does. You just need to understand how it works and learn how to use it. So the way that I like to explain the sound mechanics is, if you think of like a car GPS, the way that it finds the shortest route to the player, the Siege sound mechanics do the same. They'll find the shortest route to the player. So let's say somebody's running around in pit here, right? Somebody's just making loads of sound here in pit. If I'm in kids and there's no holes in the wall like this, the sound's going to come around here like this. So the sound's just going to sort of find the shortest route to the player. So it'll find the shortest route by going around here, and it can't go through without going through walls. Like the Siege sound mechanics prioritize going around things rather than going through things, so they don't really come through the walls very well. However, if I was to go like this and make a rotate hole here, the sound instead of going through like this, the sound will go through here, because it finds the shortest route to the player. That's the easiest way to explain the sound mechanics and see. Now I'm going to get on to the tips. So this first tip I mentioned in my previous video, 5 tips that will instantly make you a better Rainbow Six Siege player. However, it is a sound tip, so it kind of has to come in this video as well, in case you haven't seen that one. So the first tip I'm going to give you is to shoot the glass off windows, and to sort of explain it, every single window on nearly every single map, except maybe a clubhouse, theme park, and Night Haven Labs, I think, doesn't have glass. Every other map has glass on the window like this. You can see glass on the window there, like that. And that glass actually blocks all of the sound coming through the window. So you want to make sure as a defender you shoot the glass off every single window, but you want to do it in a way that doesn't open up the window. I'll explain what I mean here. So if you shoot it like this 6 times in 6 different places, it'll break the glass without breaking the window. And you can also do it with a shotgun as well. If you stand a bit further away and just shoot like that, it won't break any of the barricade, but it'll break the glass, because you want to make sure there's nothing for the enemies to look through while you do it. When you do it, sorry. Alright, so the second tip that I'm going to give you applies to when you're on the attacking side, and it's to abuse the fact that people don't shoot the glass off windows, like I just showed you that you should do as a defender. If you're playing against defenders that don't do this, which a lot of people seem to forget to do, you can actually come up to the window and you can rappel on it for free because the glass is still there, like I mentioned before. But what you can also do is come right to the bottom of the rappel, shoot 2 bullets like that. It'll not break the glass, but it'll break a hole in the barricade, and you can actually look through this barricade to get a free kill on anybody on sight. And this, doing this, shooting the glass like this without breaking the glass, it won't make any sound to the defenders. All the defenders will hear is a little ping when the barricade gets when the little wooden bit of the barricade gets pulled off. And as long as they're not already staring at the window, they're not going to notice it. There's been so many times where I've just done this, and the defender's literally in here right in front of the window, in kids right in front of the window, but not paying any attention, not heard it because it's so quiet. So that's just something you can do to abuse the fact that people forget to shoot the glass off of every window. And if they forget to do it, you can just get a freebie on them. The next tip I'm going to give you for sound is to do with when you're droning, and this mainly goes for the prep phase. However, it also applies to when you're actually droning in as well. So in the prep phase, you might sort of have the idea of, okay, let me just place a drone somewhere and keep it alive and hide it somewhere. So let's just, for sake of example, I hide it here. I want to keep it alive here. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you're looking around like this on a cam, it makes sound to the defenders. Even if you just let's say you have it like this, and the defender comes running in, you just start tracking them. That actually makes sound to the defender, because the wheels start sort of turning around. The wheels start doing loads of fucking cha-cha sliding around while you're turning around, just aiming around like that. Even though you're not pressing any movement keys, you can still hear that sound of the camera moving. So this actually makes it a sound for the defender to hear. So you want to make sure you're not doing that as an attacker. You want to make sure that when you're on your drone in the prep phase or something and you're trying to hide it, you just want to keep it still and not look around on it like that. You just want to literally take your hand off all your keyboard and your mouse and just leave it still, so that they can't find it. A lot of the times you might sort of get your drone found even though you thought it was hiding, and it's because of that reason. You might think, how the hell did he hear my drone there? How does he know my drone's there? And it's because of that reason, because you're probably looking around on it, making some weird noises that you don't expect, that you don't think you're making. Just to add to that tip, what this also does not apply to though is if you're watching somebody else's drone. If you're watching, if your drone's being shot and you're watching your teammate's drone, or let's say your teammate says, okay, can you hold my drone while I push in? And you go on his drone, okay, I'm on the drone. You can move this around, you can look this around freely without it making any sound, because you're not the one that's controlling you're not the one that's driving the drone, so you can't like, it's not driving, it's just looking around. It actually doesn't make any sound when you do that on someone else's drone. But on your drone, even if you're not pressing any movement keys, it still moves it. It still like makes sound. So that's just one thing to think about as well. It doesn't make sound if you watch somebody else's drone and do that, but if you do it on yours, it does. So the fourth tip I'm going to give you with sound is that everything you do in Siege makes sound. A lot of times I'll be sort of spectating my teammates in like a clutch situation. Let's say it's a 1v1 later round and I'm a smoke on site, for example. I'm just playing this close angle with a shotgun as smoke on site. A lot of like times I'll be spectating my teammates and they'll be sitting there going like this. They'll be sitting there like spamming keys, or they'll be like sat here like peeking behind the bomb, just like swinging, like even just like going like this. You probably can't hear the sound in game because my keyboard, but what I mean is everything you do makes sound. Even if you're not moving around, if you're just like even looking around, even doing this makes sound. So in these clutch situations, you want to make as little sound as possible. You don't even want to be looking around like this. I don't know if you can, like, I might just be picking up the swiping of my mouse more though, but it does 100% make sound. You can go into a game and test it out yourself. If you just look around, it'll make sound. And every sound that you hear yourself making, the enemies hear the exact same sound. Even aiming, that makes sound. Crouching makes sound. Everything you do makes sound. And it's how you play around that sound is what makes like the better players from the worst players. Because a lot of times when I win a 1v1 situation, it's because of the enemies making a lot of sound and I'm not making as much, if that makes sense. Like I'm more cautious in my sound than they are. So they're just like sort of making loads of sounds. They'll be sitting there like quick peeking, or they'll be sitting there like trying to jiggle, and I'll just be hearing them. Like let's say I'm pushing up white and he's like sort of here just jiggling around things. He's making so much sound I can just come up and pre-fire him because I'm hearing him exactly where he is. So you just want to be careful with the sound that you're making and how it actually like who can hear that. Now the fifth and final tip I'm going to give you is not exactly a tip, it's more just going through my settings, because there's some certain sound settings that you need to have for the best sort of experience, and I'm going to explain them to you now. So if you go to your options, you go to audio, don't have to worry about the top two because they're just for me. They're specific to what input you have and what output you have. These two don't matter as well. Subtitles, it's up to you. There used to be a thing where you could see the defenders, like the enemy subtitles, like back in year one I'm talking about. You used to be able to see the enemy subtitles and know who they have as the operators, but you can't do that anymore, obviously, because it's broken. You want to keep your master volume on whatever's comfortable for you. Personally, I have mine on 100 because I like to be deaf, but if it hurts your ears to have it as high as possible, then have it a little bit lower, but you want to make sure it's as high as you can have it without it sort of hurting your ears, basically. You always want to turn music off. Like there's no good comes from having music on. And I know it doesn't really happen in game. You don't get a lot of music in game. However, it's just not nice to have music on. Just turn that off. Like dialogue volume. This is personal preference. I have mine on 100. All this is how the operators talk to each other. You might miss a sound cue because the operator's saying something, so you want to turn that down. But personally, I've never missed a sound cue because of a dialogue, so I just leave it up. But if you want to turn it down, you can turn it down like maybe 6. So yeah, the important setting is dynamic range. This is very important because this changes the how sounds actually work. So I'm going to go through all of the options and tell you the best one, which is, for spoiler alert, is night mode. So hi-fi is the first option. What this is it's the most dynamic, as it says here, and least compressed. So what that means is that least compression means like mixing the high volume sounds with the low volume sounds. So the least compressed means that the high volume sounds are going to be extra high compared to the low volume sounds. And when you're thinking about that in terms of gameplay, that means that breaching charges, any kind of explosions are going to be break your ears off kind of loud, while footsteps are going to be extra quiet because they're quieter sound, so they're not going to be as bumped up by the compression because there's the least compression here. So what that means is you'll hear explosions a lot more than you'll hear footsteps, and that's not what you want, obviously. TV is like a middle ground between the two, between high compression and low compression. That like night mode is high compression and hi-fi is low compression. TV is like a middle ground. However, you just want to have it on night mode. Night mode has the most compression, so it's the least dynamic between the highs and the lows, like volume, not pitch. So that means that breaching charges and footsteps are going to be the closest to like together sound wise, volume wise, which means that you'll hear footsteps louder because it brings them up with the compression, is what I'm trying to get at. So that's what you want. And the rest of these aren't really important. It's only dynamic range that's the most important, and that you want to make sure you have when you're playing the game. So yeah, that's all I'm going to give you for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, and I'll see you in the next video.